Good morning. Welcome. Oh, I can see my cameras already. Good morning. Welcome. Let's just get through this part. How's it going? My name is Angela. I am a front-end developer in St. Paul, Minnesota. All vanilla here, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Let's just get to the good part where I fix my camera. What are we doing here? Is that a little straighter? Let's just get to the good part where we fix our camera and start doing stuff. How's it going? On this channel, we practice all vanilla HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Lately, the last several weeks or so, we have definitely increased the JavaScript presence on this channel. I could not be happier. I've been telling myself for years, you need to practice more, you need to do more, you're not working hard enough. And I finally set aside the time, streaming definitely helped that, right? Because I can turn anything into content. I don't know if you've noticed, but I've been posting every single day, and the posting is like practice. It's like just getting the work done. It was such a natural conclusion to come to. First, we did the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript in April. That was literally transformational. And then I made a commitment to myself that once that ended on May 1st, I would continue setting aside practice time every single day to work on JavaScript. And day one, May 1st, when I did that, I was like, oh my God, this is content. This is the content that I love recording, editing, and posting. And that's also, if I think about how my skills as a front-end developer, the thing that's missing is the JavaScript, right? I think the same thing was true of this channel. The thing that was missing was like really editing and posting videos. And if you have a YouTube channel, if you've made content before, you know what I figured out last summer, which is that if you don't enjoy making those videos, it's impossible to keep up any kind of schedule. Absolutely impossible. I tried it. I tried to vlog. I tried to make tutorials and explainer videos. God, it's just the worst. It's so hard, and I don't care. I mean, I care, but also YouTube is saturated with content like that. My heart's not in it. It doesn't feel authentic to me to be like an authority or an explainer or to produce slick videos, but demonstrating the learning process, even as a developer who's really experienced, but finally maybe not just learning something new, but like doing a deeper dive into something that I've always wanted to do. So I don't know, man. It's really fun to feel this inspired and motivated. And I'm excited that I can turn that into content. That's really exciting for me. So yeah, it's refreshing to wake up every day with a good attitude. It just is. So I don't know. That's where we're at. Welcome. Do me a favor. If you haven't yet, would you do me the pleasure of liking this video? Helps the algorithm, helps get this pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to have you. I'm here Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. I stream 4 days a week, and we just practice. We just practice building UIs, implementing the 3 things that I love, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. The 3 things, by the way, that the browser renders natively. We don't need a compiler. We don't need Node. We don't need a package manager. You don't need a framework. You don't need a library. You can do this work vanilla. You should be doing some of this work vanilla. Of course, you need to know libraries and frameworks in order to get a job. Of course, I never said that you didn't. But as somebody who's been doing this for over a decade at this point, I can tell you that regardless of the frameworks and libraries that your vanilla core skills are going to come in handy someday. You will thank me. You will remember that I told you this. You will remember. She said, learn a little vanilla. So that's what we do here. We are continuing to work on our Colorado build. Yeah, I have to, this is the other thing that I noticed happening. Hang on. What's happening? What's going on here? So maybe I just need to do a little bit of this. Yeah, so what happens if we go back here? So clearly we need to have more showing on this end. That's fine. Just based on, you know, everything else that's happening here. So yeah, I think that that works. Okay. I used to spend a lot of time doing this off camera, or not off camera, but like just in the off time of not streaming. Not anymore. We do it now. So I think this is good. Whoops, microphone. Good morning to Malik Robinson, Go Elmo, the mod in the chat. Happy to have you here, Malik, as always. Keeping an eye on us, keeping everybody on the straight and narrow, myself included. So tells me when I'm muted, tells me when the camera is off center, cheers me on. Let's get started, shall we? Slow start to the morning, which is probably my fault for being 25 minutes, no, 25 minutes late. So I apologize for that. I need to get a little better at my time management skills in the morning. But let's just go ahead and get started. So we've been working on this project called Colorado. It is a static website, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. We have been building out pages. On Thursday this past week, we built out the portfolio view, and she turned out just swimmingly. I think we even wrote some responsive styles. We did. Now, I was trying to share my iPhone screen so we could check mobile, and I was having some trouble with that. I did figure that out. So we're going to do that today. I actually found a new, improved, better way to do that with better contrast. So the old way that I did that had very low contrast. You couldn't see subtle things like shadows, maybe just a light gray line, borders, things like that. I think I have solved that problem. So we'll do a quick mobile run through here at the end, and it's a much better experience for streaming for sure. We do need to do some QA. I figured out what happened here. I changed the display property for buttons from display inline block, which is the browser default, to display block. I'm sure I had a good reason for that. I don't remember what it was. I might change it back to display inline block, and we'll see what happens, because it did kind of screw up a couple of things. And I probably did that because I needed more control over. I honestly have no idea. I don't even remember doing it. So I'll probably change that back to display inline block because it won't break what we have going on in the navigation. Which the navigation at this point, we spent so much time on the navigation because of these submenus, is basically perfect. I just don't want to do anything else up here. So if this is open, we can open this. That automatically closes that. We can also hit the escape key to close. It works and functions so well. I don't want to screw any of that up, even if it's just a stupid button display property. I want to get that back working the way it should. And then whatever reason I had for making that display block, I will find another way. I will find another way in order to preserve all of the work that I've done on this navigation. We also have a page template. So this is the page that I would use to build all of the other pages. We styled some kitchen sink HTML. Kitchen sink HTML, I would recommend that you just ask ChatGPT, like, hey, can you give me some kitchen sink HTML? And it's just going to give you a sample of HTML elements to style. So if you're building templates, let's say, okay, this is a great example actually. Let's say that you're a WordPress developer, you're building WordPress themes. I built WordPress themes at one point at the beginning of my career. I can tell you, especially when you have a set of design specs, you're not going to style everything that potentially could end up going on that website, right? Especially if it's a small-ish theme, a small-ish organization or business that you're building for. I highly recommend that you Google kitchen sink HTML or ask ChatGPT. It'll just give you a sample of HTML elements that you can account for in your styling. It's just about covering some bases. You may not get everything. You can't predict what future content creators are going to do with the things that you build, but you can cover some bases. You can make sure that you're styling block quotes and code blocks. Make sure that you're styling lists, tables, that you're just giving your clients maybe some different options for how they're organizing content. Make sure that you're being thorough when you style your forms, things like that. It's just a nice, handy thing to do, and I'm doing it more and more often because, yeah, it'll just save you a little time, right? What else? We need to build an about page, which we don't have. We need to build a contact page, which we also don't have. We need to build a blog page. So I want to start working on this blog page next week. I have some plans for that. It's going to be dynamic. So we're going to do a fetch, transform, render. I'm planning that out now because this is the other thing on all of the projects moving forward, is making sure that we are doing a fair bit of JavaScript. I want the majority of these templates to be static and as widely as useful to the widest possible audience, because everything I do on this channel is open source, and I want somebody who builds WordPress themes, uses React, whatever, to come along and be able to easily reuse these templates if they want to, right? This is me just trying to give back to the community. And if I build a static website and make everything dynamic, it's not useful. In my opinion, it's just not useful to the widest possible audience. That being said, I am going to make sure that in my future builds, I am choosing sections where we are still working with data. We are doing a fetch, transform, and render. I just think that's so important. I also happen to really, really enjoy it. I just posted, I think, 4 videos in a row using the render function on this channel. I mean, I went from, why would anybody do this, to, oh my God, this is so cool. It's complex. It's like, I'm definitely not an expert, but I do really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. And I don't want to lose this skill. And the best way to make sure I'm not losing this skill, especially with the amount of freedom that I have in these templates, we can literally do anything we want. I can, just as an example, ask ChatGPT for messy data. And then part of the project is that we clean that data up. We use things like reduce, filter, map, sort, object entries, and we're cleaning up that data, we're transforming the data, and we're rendering the data. I just really don't want to lose that skill. So that you're going to see that a lot more on future builds, but it is going to be isolated to very specific parts of the project, again, to keep these templates as useful to the widest possible audience. That's the goal. So I'm not going to worry about blog right now. We are going to do an inner page for about, we're going to do an inner page for contact, and we're going to, hopefully we can kind of nail those pages down this weekend, get some styling done. I would also like to do an inner page for the portfolio, which I don't think I have a layout set aside for this. And speaking of layout, let's pull up our design files and see, refresh our memories of what we do have. Yes. No, that's not it. Here we go. And I know that I have talked about this several times on this channel. I have just this huge collection of I just have this huge collection of Photoshop mockups. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. From my freelancing days. I mean, I really started my career as a developer. I mean, I would say 2013, 2014, 2015. So really from 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, for 5 solid years, I was freelancing and contracting. And during those 5 years, I was also working a full-time job. So my pattern was that I would have a full-time job so I could pay the rent, and then I would start bringing in clients, and I'd be like, I think I have enough clients, I'm going to quit now and just do freelancing. And I had to bounce back and forth a couple of times. My final go at freelancing, I would say that I hung in there for a good 2.5 years of being self-employed and being a freelancer. It was rough though. I was always kind of just scraping by. It was rough, but boy, oh boy, did I learn a lot. One of the things that really, really helped me was not having to come up with designs and layouts. That's really tough. I mean, I wanted to be a good designer. I just really, really wanted that, but it didn't come naturally to me, not even close. I've always been a much better developer. I've been better at building the UIs, not designing them. I don't think I'm terrible, but I'm really not that great at it. So what I discovered is that even, 10 years ago, back in the day, the internet did not disappoint. Sites like ThemeForest were great resources for just buying Photoshop design files. And that was all I needed. So I would spend $20 and I would get this huge pack of Photoshop design files. They would have 40 or 50 different layouts, and then I could use those so I would take something like this as an example, and by the time I put in the client's logo, branding, images, content, maybe I changed the font choices, that's a brand new website. And I could take these, and I used Photoshop for years. I loved Photoshop. I could take this, put it into Photoshop, shift things around if I need to, customize it around to make it work with the client's content, their goals, whatever it is that they're trying to do. I mean, it made it possible for me to do that work and to not have to come up with designs on my own. And now, a decade later, I have hundreds of these Photoshop files. And that's really what got me, after years of wanting to be on YouTube, that was finally the thing that got me on YouTube and streaming, is like, let's just take these Photoshop files. I know that I need practice. I'm not getting enough practice. I mean, at that point, I was a manager of front-end development, and I spent a very small percentage of my time actually doing front-end development, and my skills were not sharp, not fresh, not where they needed to be for where I was at in my career. And if you ever go back and want to sit through some of my earlier videos on this channel, which are almost 2 years ago now, you will see that I was nowhere near as sharp as I am today, and that is from practice. So this is hands down one of the best ideas I ever had, was to dust off these old Photoshop files and to sit down and start practicing. And if you're a new developer, or if you're just a developer where you feel a little stagnant, or you want to be better at building layouts, you want to be better at CSS and accessibility and search engine optimization, there is nothing better than going out and spending $20 or $10 or whatever your budget is. I'm sure you could even find free. Go to Pinterest, copy another website. We've done that here too. Copy a layout, go find images, pick out some fonts, pick out some color scheme. There's no better way to practice your front end skills than to just come up with an idea for a project and go sit and do it. And if you're short on ideas, Hello, right here, right here. I'm showing you where I get my ideas. I didn't think of these things on my own. So, yeah, I would really encourage you to do something like this if you want to sharpen your skills. Emilio Adiza is here. He is also a mod in the chat. Emilio is one of my earliest subscribers and cheerleaders, and he says open source is the best practice anyone can do. It makes the world a better place every day. I couldn't agree more. And I came up at a time, I mean, I started learning in 2009. I made my first website in 2010. We had lynda.com back then, which is now LinkedIn Learning. It was not an easy place to learn, though, because lynda.com, in my opinion, was not beginner friendly. They made a lot of assumptions about what the people who were even new to that site already knew. They did have some beginner content. I don't think it was a beginner friendly platform at all. I came up at a time when dev YouTube was pathetic. It really didn't exist at all. In fact, I avoided YouTube when I think about how if I had started streaming or creating content during the thousands of hours that I spent practicing back in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, for the love of the traveling Mary, I would probably be a millionaire right now if I had gotten on YouTube back then. The reality is I avoided YouTube back then because my earliest experiences with YouTube and learning back in, I would say 2010 to 2012, was that the dev content on YouTube at that time was so bad and so frustratingly, it was just so bad. It's not like it is now. And because I had those very early experiences, I avoided YouTube. I thought it was garbage content, completely worthless. I didn't go anywhere near YouTube. But to me, it was just not a serious place to get anything, any kind of useful information. So I literally, for years, I was just like, stop. Get that out of here. Don't bother me with that nonsense. I was like, YouTube, absolutely not. Garbage. And then it was in 2019 that I started to sort of think a little bit differently about YouTube and some of the content. I very clearly remember getting back to YouTube in 2019. Didn't have anything to do with COVID. It was a full year before COVID. I just remember like being on vacation, sitting in my apartment. It was like winter and I wasn't traveling. And I was just like, I don't even know what got me onto YouTube, but it was just like this completely different place from what I knew it to be or what I thought it to be. And I remember having this week where I was like really diving into some of the content that existed, and it was a completely different place. But even, and I knew instantly that I wanted to be on YouTube. But I was also like, ooh, I'm not brave enough to do this. And even if I had been brave enough in 2020, can you imagine where we'd be today? This little channel. I would maybe not be a millionaire. Maybe I would be like 100,000 heir. I don't know. I think in dollars. So it took me a long time. It took me till 2024 to finally be brave enough to do it. And I'm obviously glad that I'm here, and I'm glad that I came up with this idea. And I wouldn't be able to make this content if I hadn't spent all those years working at St. Thomas and doing client work and doing all that agency work, because it literally gave me, the brain that I have today, the experience, the knowledge, the understanding that I have today to sit down and do all this stuff, the confidence, certainly. So that's a lot. You didn't ask, but here I am. I guess it's my channel. I can talk about whatever I want, right? And if you're on the replay, you can just fast forward. Emilio says, I am finally coding again. Been so busy, but happy to practice again. Good. I'm glad. That's the great thing about front-end development. I think it's of all the types of development that you can do, I think front-end is the sexiest. I just do, because you get that instant feedback in the browser. You write a little code, you hit refresh, and boom, there it is. It's the feedback loop on front end development and building UIs. I know that that's why I stuck with it for such a long time. I just, the dopamine hit of seeing my work in the browser is what kept me going. I will never stop doing this. I don't care if AI takes over. I don't think it will. I hope it doesn't. I don't care if it does. I will never stop doing this because I get so much joy out of it. So I hope that you can find the same joy in it that I have. And Emilio, I'm glad that you're back to coding again. So keep building, my friends. Keep building. All right. What is this? Form spree. That's from an earlier thing that I was working on today. The next video, my next video is going to be form validation, and I can't do form validation if I'm not talking about form spree, can I? So, well, let's have a nice chill day. Let's go ahead and build some pages. Oh, I do have one more thing that I want to bring up, actually. Let me pull it up here. So one of my subscribers occasionally comes to hang out in the chat, Caffeine Cowboy, let me know on Thursday that Kyle Cook from Web Dev Simplified has another channel. And it clearly, I've been watching some of his videos. He came out with another video, must have been late yesterday, early this morning. Yeah, late last night. I highly recommend some of Kyle's second channel if you're not watching. He talks about some good stuff. These are quick, all less than 10 minutes. He gets right to the point, and he is clearly somebody who knows what he's talking about. So just a thank you to Caffeine Cowboy for letting us know that Kyle had the second channel. It's good stuff. So if you don't watch the main channel, I don't really watch his main channel all that much, because I don't need it. I'm not using, I am subscribed to his main channel, but I don't watch a lot of the content unless he's doing something specifically that I need. But this, I like, this is more commentary, and I just really like it. I'm just trying to say, watch it. You might enjoy it. I'm enjoying it. So, all right, let's actually do some work. So let's make a copy of page template, make sure that we have about and contact. We're not worrying about blog. We might as well go ahead and make a portfolio item page as well. Let's make sure that we're doing our good housekeeping of titles and things like that. Update some of our Open Graph properties, get some content in there, and then tomorrow we'll just do some styling. And then it would be nice if on Thursday and Friday, or Tuesday and Thursday this week, we wrap up the blog part of this site, and then we can move on, because we are on part 17, I think, is today. Part 18 is tomorrow. That's too much. I honestly was thinking about this morning. Why is this site taking so many parts? I don't even know. I know we spent a long time on the header and the navigation, but really, why is it taking this long? We need to wrap this up. So there's that. Okay. So here's our page template. Let's just go ahead. So we're going to have like a little bit of a admin day today. It feels like it's going to be a little bit of busy work, but that's okay. You got to have days like that too. And then I'm going to do the same thing here into the contact. And then I'm going to do the same thing here into our portfolio item. The beauty of page templates. Build one whole page from top to bottom. Make sure that you have everything in place, your header, your footer, some kitchen sink HTML, and then just once you are done, top to bottom, done, make a copy and build, and then just set up your remaining pages and do whatever you need to do. That is my best advice. Here's the other thing that I think we should do today. Let's go ahead and reorganize our JavaScript. Here's the other thing that I am learning about JavaScript, that I have learned about JavaScript. I have been a DOM content loaded lady my entire career. And what I've learned recently is that we really should, I think it's a more modern approach, that instead of defer and DOM content loaded, which ChatGPT has been trying to convince me for a year that defer and DOM content loaded are the same thing. They are similar. They are not the same. They do act a little bit differently. Type module will enable us to take everything that lives on this script page and break it up into individual modules. And I think that that is a better approach for organization. Type module is already deferred, so it does act essentially the same way as defer, like the scripts are deferred by default, basically, and we will no longer need DOM content loaded. Boy, that was a tough one. Tomorrow's video is me doing this on my personal website, deleting DOM content loaded. That was rough. I had a hard time with that, but what I really love is the organization and the modules and the scoping. So I think we should do this also. So let's make these pages, update the title tags, things like that. Make sure those are ready to go with content for styling tomorrow. And then let's pop over and reorganize our JavaScript. And that's going to feel real, real good. You just wait and see. You're going to be like, Angela, that feels really good. Yeah. Malik says, can't wait to see how it's done. Here's the other thing. Okay, I have one other tiny side note. I used to put chat messages up on the screen, and I decided to stop doing that. It's just a decision that I made. But here's what I can do. Let me see here. And I need to maybe build this out a little bit more. I can do this. We could do something like this. We could just have this, or maybe we could do this. And if we wanted to see what was happening in the chat, we could just have this. Yeah, I might do this. So I need to kind of come up with a system for this. But I think we might do something like this. Here's the thing though, if I zoom in on this, it kind of screws up a couple of my other windows. But also, I think that OBS has maybe a chat doc. Do you? Yeah, you do actually. Hang on. I try to do these things when I'm not actually live, but honestly, the best way to do it is when you're live, because then you can actually see it in real time. Oh, it doesn't like that. Can I zoom in on this? Yeah, I can't zoom in on this though. It just makes it really difficult to read. I love OBS. It's open source. It doesn't cost anything. It's the learning curve. Yeah, so okay, so I'm going to play with this a little bit offline, and let's see if we can come up with a better solution for chat. What I kind of want to do, and I see the Primogen do this, where he's just got a screen set up because I think he streams to Twitch and YouTube at the same time. And he'll just flip over to a screen where he's got two chats. I need to be able to zoom in on it. But also it kind of screws up my other screen is the problem. So if yeah, kind of screws up my other screen. But I have some ideas. So I'm going to play with it a little bit and find a good solution. So, okay. Well, thank you for indulging me. All three of you. You know who you are. Okay. Here we go. People are like, what are we doing now? All right. So here's our portfolio item, and I'm just going to say portfolio item. Not going to worry about the description. So this is going to be a little repetitive, but it's a static website. That's okay. Is that really the link on GitHub? Let's make sure that that's correct. I don't think that is. Yeah, I think it's lowercase. So let's fix this. I think this is fine. Here's our header wrap. Here's the search. Here's the navigation. We are on the we are on the portfolio item page. So we're going to have to adjust our nav items. And one page is going to link to all of these. We're not going to build multiple pages. Let's see if this is the correct way to do it. Oh, wrong page. We need to fix our path for this. So this is going to be up 2 levels. There we go. And we'll have to fix this image. So now that's correct. No, that's not correct. Okay, so we're inside of this folder. Shouldn't we just be going up one level? Is it that? That's not it. Well, let's let, yeah, why aren't we letting, this is a good point. Okay, if we have nothing, so this is the current directory. But I don't want that, so maybe it's just .. /. Isn't that what I just had? Okay, there we go. So if we are on portfolio item 1, that means that, well, first of all, we have to change our active link. And then I think we have to change the path for all of these pages. You might think that this is tedious. There are better ways to do this. Yeah. And this is an important exercise. This is a really important exercise, and I would encourage anybody out there who really wants to understand how the internet works to build a static website. Manage the navigation on individual pages. Yeah, it's an important exercise. It's a good exercise. Okay, so if we're going up one level to the root for portfolio, then we have to go up one level. We have to go up 2 levels for home. Yep. See, I need to let... VS Code is trying to help me. VS Code is literally saying, Angela, I'm trying to help you. So there we go. That's for there. That's done. I think we just go that. There's our about folder. And there's our contact. So now we're inside the portfolio item. So there's blog, there's about, oh, you can't see it with my giant head in the way. So I'm looking down in the lower left-hand corner. There's blog, there's about, we have to fix page template, and there's contact. There we go. And the active item, I just put it on the first item. So it's always going to be the first item. So if we go over to page template, there's page template. Okay, now let's update our... Well, we'll update the active link as we go to those pages. Right now, I'm focused here on page template, our portfolio item. That's what I'm focused on. Okay, so I'm done with the navigation. This is portfolio item. also portfolio item. So I think that means then there's our home. This is literally the current link. Got it. So here's our images. So I think, again, there's our images folder. So that should be fine now. There's our image. Good. Here's our next image. There's our images folder, so we know that that should be okay. There it is. Here's our form elements, our Instagram feed for the footer. We'll fix those. There we go. All right, now our page template has been successfully converted to a portfolio item template. I'm not worried about anything going on this page here. We're not there yet. I'm just building the pages. Our title tag is correct. I don't really care about the description. I don't care about any of that right now. I care that the CSS and JavaScript is all linking correctly, which it is. We know because our navigation is working and that relies on JavaScript. Our images are linking correctly. Our CSS is linking correctly. That's what I care about. So now let's do about and contact, and then let's refactor or reorganize our JavaScript. All right. So next let's do our about page. And then after we're done with the JavaScript, we will look on mobile and we will just sort of start, we'll add to our QA list because we do have a QA list going of things that we want to take care of, or that we want to improve. So we'll do that today as well. So we're only one level deep, right? We're still in the root level. These folders are still at the root level of the site. The index.com, index.html page is just one level deep. So these should all be fine. So if we go over to, I think we're on about, you can see now that the title tag is updated. Let's make sure that our navigation is correct. It should be because we copied the template from another page that was only one level deep. So this should all be fine. The page template, where are you? Why can't I see you? Blog has the active class, so we'll move this to, we're on what, about? So we're just going to move this up here. And we'll fix these links. It's page template. And then this is, it's just the current index.html for about. So we can see now that that's highlighted correctly. So I can go to page template and I can go back to about. I can go to a portfolio item and I can go back to about. I can go home and I can go to about. Perfect. So we know that that's working. And I'm just going to say about me. And let's make sure, I think this is all also correct. Yep, this is the root. And this is also the root. I don't use index.html because I like a tidy URL. You could also say index.html. Why am I losing focus? Why am I constantly losing focus in the address bar? I don't understand. Why? Why? Tell me why. Okay. This also works. About slash index.html. Here's what that means. This page has 2 URLs because this is how the internet works. If you build static and you want a tidy URL and you don't want to see index.html, you could, depending on your server configuration, you could use like an htaccess file. I'm a lamp stack type of person, so I'm Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. I would use an htaccess file. You could also, in your virtual host, your Apache virtual host file, you could write a bunch of rewrite rules to clean that up. Or you can use a, where are you here? I don't even have it. What the F? I don't even have it. Why don't I have it? We're going to add it right now. We are going to add a canonical meta tag. That's what we're going to add. A canonical meta tag tells bots, so think Google, hey, this page has more than one URL. Here's the URL. Here's the correct URL. So let's do this. Is it meta tag or is it link? Link canonical. Link canonical. Is it? I think it's a link. Link relationship canonical. So we're going to add this to everything. So let's just read the overview of this. The link rel is relationship, canonical, I think it's relationship, tag is an HTML element used to tell search engines which version of a web page is the master or primary copy. It helps prevent search engine optimization issues caused by duplicate content where multiple URLs lead to the same or very similar pages. When search engines crawl your site and find multiple pages with nearly identical content, like a product page and its printer-friendly version, they may get confused about which one to rank. Adding a canonical tag points them to the preferred URL, ensuring link signals and ranking power are consolidated onto that single version. The tag must be placed within the head section of your HTML document. So this was basically the most perfect solution. If you're thinking, oh, I'm going to do a rewrite and clean up those URLs, my friends, please just don't even bother. It doesn't matter. Use a canonical tag. Just use a canonical tag. So let's put this in here. So link rel canonical, and then this is our open graph. This right here, open graph URL, this is for like social media, basically. But we want to tell it, and right now this is the GitHub URL, so we have to remember to change that when we actually deploy. We are telling it, hey, this is the correct version, because guess what? This also exists. This is correct. This exists. This page lives on both URLs. So we are telling bots and search engines, hey, actually, this is the one that I want you to rank in search results. This is the correct one. Doesn't matter which one gets saved as a bookmark by your user. Doesn't matter which one your user ends up on. Here's the other thing. You may be working in a content management system where programmatically the content management system does like interlinking, right? I know because this is where I came from at the University of St. Thomas. We used a paid proprietary content management system where there was internal linking of other pages of content across multiple different types of sites. And it always linked it as the full URL, which included index.html. And I had this conversation with our backend team, like the folks that really helped us a lot with like the DevOps deployment, things like that. And I said, I don't want to do a bunch of rewrite rules. I don't think that there's any point to that. And we ended up just putting in a canonical link on every page. And programmatically, that is very easy to do, especially in a content management system. Use the tools that are available. Check the HTML spec and the HTML API to see if there's something there that solves your problem, and avoid doing like rewrite rules, Apache virtual host configurations, HT access. Those things are powerful. They're great. We love them. But also, if you can do it this way, I would encourage you to. This is a beautiful solution to this problem. So, okay, I'm glad we had a chance to talk. I like being able to talk about this type of thing and point this out to people. So, because I don't think everybody really realizes it. And you may not think as a front-end developer that search engine optimization is like your problem. I mean, I had that attitude for a really long time. And I'm here to tell you that if you are a front-end developer that works on the marketing side of things, and to be perfectly honest, I have spent the majority of my career as a front-end developer working on the marketing side of front-end development, which is, I think, why I was able to really lean in so much to building UIs. It's because there was this separation, and there were people who could always sort of deal with the heavier programming JavaScript side of front-end development. So I was able to lean into like the good user experience, the mobile responsiveness, the accessibility, and yes, the search engine optimization. I absolutely had to play a role in that in order to make sure that the pages I was building were doing their job. And the job of a landing page with a form on it is to generate leads and convert people. Like, that's the whole point. It's really important. So I would just encourage you, because I think many of us are going to be on the marketing side of front-end development, to make sure that you understand some of these things. It's just really going to help you out so much. And just imagine your boss, who is not a developer, realizes, because they are very in tune to search engine optimization, and that's very common to have a leader who is not a developer but plays a huge role in search engine optimization. Imagine they come to you and they're like, every page has 2 URLs. What's the solution? Would you rather put in a canonical link, or would you rather spend a day on HT access or Apache virtual host rewrite rules? Which would you rather do? I'm asking, which would you rather do? I know which one I would rather do. So there's that. Okay, so let's make sure that we get this canonical link into all of our pages. Oh, and this is the about page, isn't it? So we're gonna add this here. About / I hope that you find this useful and interesting. I don't know, I think it's really interesting. I love it, clearly. Okay. All right, so there's our canonical. We'll make sure that we get this onto every page. And I think we're done with the about. So we've got our about. Yeah. Okay, let's head over to the contact page. One moment, please. Here is our contact page. Oh yes, and we're going to do form validation as well. Boy, wasn't that fun. I thought it was great when we worked on the form validation during the 30 days of vanilla JavaScript. I just thought it was amazing. And Healing Lens is here. And says, what do you say about making a website for my portfolio? Should I copy a big brand website or make an improvement in it? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by what improvement you're referring to. I think that you should do whatever looks interesting to you. It doesn't matter if you I've copied the layouts of big brand websites before. I've done it on this channel. If that looks interesting to you, then you should do it. That's not the point. You know that that's not the point, right? Whether you copy a big brand website or just make an improvement in another website, the point is to do a project. That is the point. If you are running short on ideas, copy the big brand website. If you want to work from a set of design specs, go buy a set of like design files, mock-ups, right? Inspiration is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you get it from. Do something that looks exciting and interesting. The point is to work on projects. Please tell me that you understand that that was the point. Okay? Okay. Whoops, did I lose? Let's grab it here. It's still highlighted. And this is contact. And also, thank you for your chat. I appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. Sometimes I just have to make sure that people understand the point of why I say things. It doesn't matter what you work on. I have no opinion. You are welcome to ask me questions like that, but I'm here to tell you I have no opinion on what you should build, because that what you build is not the point. So why does this have this? Why is it doing that? Is this, I feel like this might be something that I did when I was doing a search and replace, possibly. Yeah, should probably make sure that's fixed. All right, I think this looks okay. Let's make sure our navigation looks okay. Yep, that's all right. That should work now. Contact me. Contact me. All right, there's contact. We can see our title is updated, our navigation. All right, good. Our title, our breadcrumbs, and the rest of the page looks good. All right, let's make sure that we have this canonical link on the other pages, and let's make sure that this images link is correct. So this is contact, here's about. All right, contact and about, done. Page template. Here's our canonical. Here's our portfolio. Here's our portfolio item. Here's our canonical. So this is portfolio slash portfolio item slash, because it is a directory. All right. The 404 page does not need Open Graph data. Why do I think that the 404 page should be no index, no follow? Why do I lose focus every single time? I don't understand what's happening, that I'm losing focus. I should just be able to start typing. Does a 404 page need no index, no follow? No, a 404 page does not need a no index, no follow tag if it properly returns a 404 not found or 410 gone HTTP status code. Search engines automatically ignore or de-index URLs that return these error codes. Good point. So if we go to, if the 404 comes up, it's automatically not going to be a status 200, right? When to use meta tags. If for some reason your server incorrectly returns a 200 OK status for a 404 page, a soft 404, you must use a no index tag to prevent it from appearing in search results. Best practice. Ensure your custom 404 page does not contain many links to other pages, which can waste crawl budget, and avoid redirecting all 404s to the home page, which can be seen as a soft 404. Using no index is acceptable as a redundancy, but it is not necessary for a correctly configured server. So we do know how to do the server configuration, and we do add that. It's very easy. We're going to add that to the Apache virtual host file when we do the deployment. I do think that, I mean, technically there is a link that exists. It's 404 HTML. And we'll take this off. So I think technically meta robots, right? No. Meta. Name equals robots. Content. I'm just going to do no index. And we need this base URL, this base href. You always need it, but it has to be this for GitHub pages. We'll take it off when we do the deployment. So now it's working. But like this does not work. That's okay. We don't need a description for a 404 page. Title, yes. And I think all of the rest of this is just fine. And then what did it say? It said avoid a 404 status code. So if they go to 404.html, that's a soft 404. If for some reason your server incorrectly returns a 200 OK status for a 404 page, a soft 404, you must use a no index tag to prevent it from appearing in search results. But the page exists. So I feel like it, and I don't want it to get indexed, so I am going to do a no index. Ensure your custom 404 page does not contain many links to other pages, which can waste crawl budget, and avoid redirecting all 404s to the home page. So avoid redirecting. We have one, I feel like we have one link. Well, we have navigation, and we have our breadcrumbs, which is just a link to the home page. So I don't feel like this is many or too many. But we don't need the open graph stuff. We don't need any of that. We don't need a canonical link. This is all we need for the 404 page. That was good to revisit that, I think. Okay, so here's the home page. The root index.html. So let's add our canonical, which again, we have to update this when we deploy. Right now, this is a GitHub page, which is the equivalent of a development site, a dev site, staging site, right? We've got a title, we've got a description, we've got open graph. Everything looks fine. You know what? Is this supposed to be a lowercase c here as well? Let's just do a find and replace. I don't want to go through all these pages again. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's make sure. I should just be doing find and replace. I guess I missed this in a few places, huh? Oh, that's because it's finding it everywhere. That's why. Yeah, don't do this, Angela. Instead, let's do the entire meta tag. And let's make sure that we're being case specific. what is this? Match whole word, match case. That's what we want. Match case. Okay. Here's our canonical, which is just the root. And we'll put it on our QA list to make sure that we look at each page. Also, we'll be reviewing pages as we go. So, okay. Let's close some of these pages. So make sure we're unfolding. Okay. Let's commit our work. Updating pages and metadata. All right. And then let's go ahead and work on our JavaScript. We'll do a little component building, module building, maybe a little scoping if we need to, but just really, it's just a task to organize. And Emilio says, I always forget about the find tool. Yeah, incredibly, especially on a static website, if you make changes to navigation or anything like that, find and replace is definitely your friend. Yeah. Don't struggle through and look for the whole word like I do. Use your find and replace. So, okay. So here's our scripts, and we are going to end up doing find and replace again, but we're going to start with the home page. And we're going to start by saying, we're going to change this from defer to, this is going to be type, type equals module. So that's the first thing that we're going to do. And then let's make a folder. And I'm going to just say scripts. I'm not going to change the location of script.js. I am just going to put the, well, we could call this though, let's call it modules instead. I think that might be a better word. We'll call this modules. So our individual module files will live here. And we're going to say navigation.js. So anything related to the navigation is going to go in this folder. Let's move this over here, or this file rather. So we're going to say export default function init navigation. I have to make this just a tiny bit smaller. So this is and we are also using, so we have helper functions that work for both the menu toggle and the search drawer toggle. So maybe the better name for this is nav search toggle, because I don't really want to separate these things. So I'm going to take all of this. This lives in its own file now. And honestly, I'm not really going to change anything here. I don't think there's additional scoping that we need to do. Not for this. And we need all of these functions. They all exist for a reason. This script itself could maybe use a refactor, because I think I did this a couple months ago and I incredibly know a bit more now than I did then. But I think this looks fine. Yeah, I think this looks fine for now. So this is going to live on its own. And then in our script.js, we're going to say import init nav search toggle, and it fills everything else in there. And then we say init nav search toggle. We basically initialize it here. So next we're going to do one little lonely file for our copyright. So here's our modules. I'm going to say copyright.js. And I'm just going to copy this whole thing. And we'll say export default function init copyright. And then we can come right over here and we'll say import init copyright. And then we'll go ahead and initialize that. And one thing that it doesn't do, I don't exactly understand why, is it doesn't put the .js. So we have to do that ourselves. And that is just fine. Okay, and we're not doing anything here either. This doesn't require any refactoring. It's perfect just the way it is. Next, we have a slider. So we'll make a slider.js. And that's, we're going to say export default function init the slider. And then we can come right over here and say import init slider. And then we can initialize that. Now, if I was going to refactor anything, it might be the slider. However, no, it doesn't like that. This could use a refactor actually, but maybe not. I don't know. Again, I copied this from ChatGPT. I did not hand code this. I maybe could 2 months into my new JavaScript journey. I don't think I'm going to worry about it though, because I'm looking at this and I'm like, actually, you're relatively straightforward as sliders go. So I think this is fine. Maybe we'll come back and refine this or refactor it, but I think this is fine the way it is. There's not a lot of JavaScript on this site. We've got navigation, a copyright statement, and a slider. Here's the scary thing. This is the part that kind of freaks me out right here. We don't need this anymore. That's kind of crazy, but we don't need this anymore. The great thing about this now is that we can, and we probably should, is we could just include, we could just link to the, link the modules to the pages where we actually need them, right? I'm not going to. We probably should link the slider only to the pages where we need the slider. So does that mean that I can I don't think I can just link though to slider.js because it's initialized in script.js. So if I was going to link directly to slider.js, I wouldn't be exporting unless if I initialize it after the export. I don't know. Let's try it and see what happens. So let's comment it out on scripts.js, initialize it after the export statement. I don't know if I can initialize it on the same page, if I need to do it after, if I need to do it inside. I have no idea. I'm going to put it outside. We know the slider's on the home page. So let's add another script. Let's just do a little experiment. So this would be modules, slider. It's either going to work or it isn't. So let's see what happens. Oh. And the slider is this. Well, what do you know? Okay, so I'm just curious. This is just, we're experimenting. Just to be clear, if that's not initialized, the slider doesn't work. Got it. What happens if it's initialized inside of the export function? Doesn't work. So we can initialize this on the same page. It has to be outside of the export function. Now, what if it's loaded twice on the page? It does work. Are we actually loading it twice? Let's look at the network tab and see. We are loading it twice. No, wait. We're loading it once. Interesting. We're loading it once. And it is initialized outside of the export statement. And it's initialized here. But we are only loading it once. Interesting. So I don't want to load in on pages where I don't need it. So I'm going to comment it out for our main script.js. This is a good little experiment. There's not a lot to work with here, so it's easy to experiment, right? And I'm only going to load this on the home page using type.module. So now if we do that, we should be getting the same results, right? There's our slider. Comment it out. All right. And then let's update our other pages. To make sure that I don't think we need, what do we need to do on, well, let's just start with our root level pages. So that's index.html and 404. So we're going to change this to type equals module. All right. And then let's do our, we've got two inner pages. Well, we've got the page temp, the portfolio item. Well, we're not going to have another page this deep until blog, which we haven't worked on yet. So we can just change this manually. Type equals module. And then here's where we'll do a find and replace. So we'll find this. And we don't really need any, I don't think we need any conditions. Type equals module. So this is the about page, the contact page, the page template, and the top level portfolio page. Oops, that didn't work. How do I undo? Okay. I didn't do a space. All right. Hang on. That's what find and replace is for. We're just going to put a space there. Do it again. Really? Whoops. Okay. So here's our about page. We should probably check them all. There's contact. There's page template. There's portfolio. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and commit, and then we can check our work on mobile. Organizing JS2 type equals module. All right. Give me one moment here, and I'm going to get my phone set up. Hang on, hang tight. right. All right. Mm-hmm. All right, so first of all, look at this beautiful specimen. But also, but wait, there's more. There she is. There we go. Look at how much better this version of sharing looks. Because we have, you can actually see the text shadow. You can see the contrast of that border. It just looks so much better. So much better. So I think there's definitely things here that we can improve on, right? So let's make a list. And here I've just like so much more flexibility. Let me show you. Let me show you. Look at that. I have so much more flexibility. I'll do this just like that. So we know we need to fix our buttons. Oh, no, why are you not working? Uh-oh. Oh, well, you know what, though? It could just be caching because we just refactored our JavaScript, right? Okay, hang on. Uno momento. Let me switch over to Safari, which caching is not as severe on Safari. Can I just send you to Safari? Okay, copy. iOS. All right. So here's Safari on iOS. And no, our navigation. Okay, hang on. Let's see what happened. What happened? Well, this is why we test. This is why we do these things, right? So we know navigation is loading. I'm sure this is some scoping issue. I had the same problem yesterday, but it was because I changed something in the file. I didn't change anything here. So our event listener for our button, we know that the modules work because our slider works. Does our copyright statement work? Yes, our copyright statement is working. So something happened to the navigation. So our button is menu button, menu open. Although you know what could have happened. Well, I don't know. But it has been working because we were looking at the buttons. So we know it's been... Hang on. There was a weird noise. I had to investigate, but we're fine. So we know the navigation was working because we were just looking at our wonky buttons in the navigation. So moving this over broke something. Did I get the wrong name in here? In it, nav search toggle from modules navigation.js. Modules, navigation, scripts.js. Does our search work? Let's see. No. So our search and our navigation are not working. Well, the event listeners aren't working. So why did moving this into a module break the event listeners? And I'm not crazy. The slider is working. We didn't change anything here. So why would they just stop working? I don't know. So here's our main function for menu open, menu buttons, body, menu active. Here's the helper function. The trigger button is menu open, menu open, menu open. I'm not sure why. Can I console log? Can I even console log the event? Probably not. Button event. Oh, okay. I know why none of this is, it's because everything that we had inside the DOM content loaded didn't get initialized. That's why. Everything in slider and in copyright got initialized over here because those were single function scripts. This has many functions, and each of those functions still need to be initialized. Okay, so that's cool. We just have to do that. So what do we have to initialize? I think we have to initialize menu toggle, search toggle, escape toggle. So let's see. And escape toggle. And we want to do that probably just inside this. I mean, honestly, we could just put it right here, right? I bet that what you're supposed to do is name these I know that there's you can name your functions as you bring them over, right? So that will fix this now, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. All right, well and there's our button event. Okay, we can take that out. Well, that's how you learn, right? Okay, so let's commit this and push this up to Git, and then we can check it again. And you know what? I will learn a little bit more about making sure that individual functions within a module get initialized correctly. For now, I think what we're doing is completely acceptable, but we are probably going to want to name those functions and bring them into this script. I have a feeling that that's the right way to do that. So I'm going to learn a little bit more about that, and we will get that figured out. So let's commit this. Bug fix for JS modules. Okay, so let's let that percolate a little bit, and then let's continue to scroll through, and then when this is ready, we'll be able to use it. So I do think that we're going to need to do something with this text and button over top of the hero. I don't think that's accessible. So let's make a note. hero, text, and button not accessible. And Malik says, I will look into that. Seems a lot more annoying to do with larger script files. Agreed. Yeah, definitely look into that. I wouldn't mind that at all if you wanted to do that. Also, Terry Murray is here. Good afternoon. I'm a little late to the party. Terry Murray, you are right on time to the party. You're never late. You're always right on time to the party. And thank you for being here. Honestly, I don't have many complaints about the homepage. We could tidy up this meta line, right? Homepage, meta content line wrapping. We'll look for a pretty way to handle that. Yeah, I do kind of remember this. We need to fix the so we're going to fix slider next previous arrows on mobile. Go back here. And then I think our footer looks just fine. That is not working quite yet. Let me get over to Chrome. All right, here we are in Chrome. Here we go. Good. That's working again. Yeah, we need to fix those buttons. So we'll say fix display of button element. I feel like there's a lot of space here, so maybe on inner pages, fix space between header and main content on mobile. Otherwise, I think this looks just fine. Our navigation looks okay. Footer still looks good. Blog we haven't built yet. About, let's change the aspect ratio. So increase aspect ratio of inner pages hero. Not a lot, but a little. I think it could be a little beefier than that, right? Otherwise, I actually like the spacing. It's very spacey up at the top, but I like it. And this is our kitchen sink HTML. Here's our lovely table. Our nice responsive table. Here's our column layout for mobile. Here's our form. So here's our drop down. Otherwise, I'm mostly fine with this. I think what's happening here with the date. Let's take a make sure that we take a second look at the date input. check the date input styles on mobile. iOS sometimes makes it, whoops, difficult. Okay. There we go. Things are getting weird. That's okay. So our page template, our about page, everything should look the same because we just copied and pasted those pages. Oh yeah, that aside section on the inner pages we need to fix. So fix spacing / container for aside element at bottom of inner pages. And here's our contact page. Yep, and it all looks the same. Great. I'm very happy with this. Very happy. I think that's it for today. Emilio says that it looks good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think this is it for today. It was kind of a busy admin-y type of day, but you have to set aside sometimes chunks of time like this when you're working on a site to, especially once you get your inner page template built and you know you're going to make copies of that, you might as well just set aside a block of time where you can make those copies, update your head section metadata, make sure that everything is linking correctly. That's a good time to do any little organization or refactoring that you'd been thinking about doing, just like we did with the JavaScript type module. And then, do a walkthrough on mobile. Make sure that you can open and close your menu, that your search drawer is opening and closing, that you can navigate to each page, that you have those links correct, you have your active item correctly highlighted, and that you're just going top to bottom to double check and add to your QA list. You don't have to stop and do every QA item on the spot. Just make a list, because then in a few more days or in a week or whatever, you're going to sit down and you're going to block out another section of time and you're just going to start knocking out your QA items. So just take that approach where you just block out time and you're like, you know what, I'm just going to do this one thing right now. And I'm just going to do this next thing right now. And now tomorrow we can actually go in and style those pages. And there's not that much to do. Because look at how much of this site is done. How many styles are written? The header, the footer, the navigation, the responsiveness is all mostly in place. So now we are just going to style that inner page content and get those pages set up. We'll do a form. I would genuinely like to do some form validation if we have time for that tomorrow. Let's do that. I mean, what inner page thing do we even need to do? An about page, a contact page, and a portfolio page. Could we just knock those 3 things out tomorrow? We probably could if I didn't talk so much. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. If we could get those 3 things knocked out tomorrow, then on Tuesday and Thursday this week, we could work on the blog and we could do a good old fetch, transform, and render. And then we'll have a QA day and then we'll have a deployment day. So yeah, let's try to get this wrapped up in the next week or 10 days. I think that's a really good goal. So, and Malik says, great work as usual. Thank you. Definitely should look into the chat overlay, would be nice. Yeah, I don't want a permanent chat overlay. I want to flip to a screen where when I'm talking to the chat, it's on the screen. So I don't want a permanent overlay, but I do want a dedicated screen for chat. So I'm going to figure that out. I'm not going to have it figured out by tomorrow, but I will have it figured out in the next week. So, or maybe I will, I don't know. So yeah, do me a favor. Hey, if you haven't yet, would you be so kind as to like this video? It helps the algorithm, helps the channel grow. It helps get this content into more people who might be interested in this type of thing. Subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you. I'm here 4 days a week, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday. All of the content that I do on this channel is vanilla, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I am definitely leaning into the JavaScript in the last couple of months. I'm having so much fun. It was exactly what I needed to like round everything out, to round the channel out, to round out just my own set of skills as in terms of being a front-end developer. Yeah, so that's if you're signing up, that's what you're signing up for. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, the three things that the browser does natively. And we love that. Emilio says, I think you can use a short key to turn on or off floating in OBS, if I remember right. I don't have any short keys set up. A hotkey. I don't have any hotkeys set up. What I do in OBS is, I actually don't use hotkeys. I set up sources and scenes. So if I'm doing something like turning the phone on or off, I'm just clicking the visibility button in the sources panel. If I'm going to different screens, I'm just clicking on a scene that I like inside the floating channel or inside the scenes. I don't have any hotkeys set up for anything. If I have floating chat, I have to make that possible. I have to set up a scene and a source in order to do that. So what I'm going to do is build a scene, which is how I like to handle things. OBS is pretty awesome when it comes to streaming. It's totally free. It's not perfect, but as free software for streaming, it's honestly incredible. It's really cool. I love it. It's the only thing I've been using for now almost 2 years, and I think it's great. So, and Emilio has some experience with it too. Yeah. So what I'm going to do specifically is set up a dedicated scene for chat. I don't want floating chat. I don't want chat over top of what I'm doing, because I need these videos to be something that I can edit into a project, and I don't want chat, a floating chat over top of that content. I want it to be dedicated, something that I'm flipping to and can flip back to the project. So that's my goal. That's what I'm going to work on. So, okay. Have a great rest of your day wherever you are. It's Mother's Day weekend. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. I will definitely be here tomorrow, and then I will be spending the afternoon with my mother. And so, yeah, I will see you tomorrow morning, 10:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Bye-bye.